nurturers. So where a woman's value lies is, how does she make her man feel? Does she uplift him with his words? Can he trust her? Is she loyal? Does she support his dreams? Does she take care of his legacy? Meaning, if he gives her a home, how does she nourish it and steward it? Women are the warmth to a man's life. A man can have a house and it can feel a little cold. When a woman comes in, she decorates it. She makes it more homey and feels good. So a woman's value lies in the feeling she brings to a man, where a man is more of the physical aspect. That's why a lot of men will tell you with money that they don't care about your money and they don't care about your degrees and they don't care about all of that stuff. Now, some men don't mind an ambitious woman. So just because you have those things doesn't mean that you're less valuable. But what I'm saying is that's not where your value lies. So if you are a woman who is solid, who is respectful, she knows how to talk to her man, she can uplift her man with her words, she can support his dreams, she does not tear him down, she creates a safe space where he can be vulnerable and lay his armor at the door. If she's not going to use his weaknesses against him, if she's going to steward what he gives her well, then you are rare and you are a valuable woman. So if you are that type of woman, understand that your standards need to be up here, because we don't know what our value is as women. So we settle for the stuff down here when you should be really aiming for the stuff up here, because every woman isn't like you. And these are earthly values, not the value that you get from you and God. God's value is more important than all of this combined. But just speaking of physical, worldly value.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen, so you know what I'm about. So let's get to it. So yes, this is Heal with Brittany. That is what she is out on TikTok. And I absolutely love this video. I would probably agree with about 90% of it, even though she did kind of go over, some of the things that I disagree. The only real things I disagree with this video is really the side of it when it comes to the nurturing piece and, whether or not men are really looking for that. Because we do have, like I said, when we start to look at personality, there are men out there that are nurturers and there are women out there that are not. And really, it's those two sides that really kind of go together, even though those sides don't like to end up together. But that is really kind of how the world balances itself. But once you really get beyond that, I pretty much agree with this, because this is really going down the path of dealing with men who are primarily walking in their masculine, and you're dealing with women that are primarily walking in their feminine. And one of the main problems out here is that we have people that give generalized advice to everybody, and then people wonder why it doesn't work for them. Because see, when people get advice, they have to figure it out through their own perspective. What's happening? What is this information and how does it help me? See, you can't just listen to everybody's advice verbatim. Like even in the comments, one of the first comments even talks about make sure that the man makes you his wife first, right? So even though she said all of these things, even though she's alluding to a marriage and going down the path of marriage, we have someone that's a little bit in their feelings and they're already talking about, okay, well, only do that, if you're his wife. Then you have someone else that basically says, well, does he do the same? Because that's how you get a woman that's peaceful. See, what's happening is all these people have had hurt. They've had pain. And what I tell you guys all the time, what it talks about in Proverbs, don't go to a person that is in their pain, is in their anger, because you'll learn to be like them. Because see, what happens is there are people that will resonate. That's why those comments are high. There are people that resonate. There's all these people that resonated. Over 1,500 people resonated with the whole wife thing first. And then another 1,600 people resonated with, make sure he does the same thing to you. You see what a problem is? See, those people that resonate with that, they're not ready to be wives. They're not, because they're walking in too much pain. You cannot walk in pain and then B, say, well, I'm wife ready. I'm ready to be married. See, they actually go against each other. Because see, a woman that's a wife already knows she's supposed to be married. A woman that's a wife is not going to walk with foolishness. If you've been tracking with me for a while, you already know. Okay? There are people out here that are wives. There are people out here that are husbands. And then there's people out here that are just girlfriend and boyfriends. If you as a woman can't pick out the difference between a husband and a boyfriend, then you're not a wife. And if you're a man and you can't pick out the difference between a girlfriend and a wife, you're not a husband. Because see, there's energy that people give off. And the energy should seem familiar and comfortable. See, I just did a video where, absolutely horrible advice of someone telling a woman literally to sleep with men, in order to figure out a man's value and all this other kind of stuff, right? And it was really more financial value. But that's, again, that plays along in that same boat. You cannot have this mindset of, well, I don't quite know. And see, that's the whole thing. I don't quite know. And if you don't know, you're walking in girlfriend or boyfriend energy. That's what's happening. See, there's men out here, and a good portion actually of the guys that follow me are married. I see it in the comments because they'll be like, oh, I've been married for 20 years or I've been married for 30 years. And I'm always very thankful, for those men that follow. And then there's a lot of men out here that are even in the comments, how they talk about it is like they're lining themselves up to get married, but they're looking for the right woman. Right? And then there's all these women out here that are saying, well, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And it's like, y'all don't understand how to be wives. She's telling you wife energy. She's giving you the formula. The formula is to come into a man's life, right? And you're not bringing money, you're bringing your energy. And if your energy is wifely, you're an asset to the man. And you're lifting him up. And then he's excited and he wants to be around you. It's basically, she said it directly. A man buys a house, a wife makes it a home. And I've talked like that all the time. A man makes a woman's life easy because he removes the burdens, the physical burdens on her life. Okay. He's coming in saying, okay, well, let me make sure that your car is fixed. Let me make sure that you got good tires. Let me make sure there's gas. Let me make sure that, you got food, groceries, right? All of your basic needs are taken care of. That is really what men do. They come in and they take care of your basic needs. But a woman comes in and they takes these things, like she takes the food and she turns it into a meal. She makes sure that the man is eating right. She makes sure, that he has what it takes to be strong and go out there and do it again. Does this make sense? See, a man might go out here and he might literally take the wood and he might go to some trees and cut down that wood and turn that wood into something. He builds this house. Say he builds a house with his own two hands, right? And he builds it, but he ain't going to paint it. He's not going to do anything else. But the woman will come in and she'll say, well, it'd be nice if these walls were painted. It would be nice if the sofa is over here versus over here. She makes it comfortable. And most men don't even truly know how to say what they're looking for, but they know it when they find it. And a man is not looking for a woman to come in and be his mother. He's not looking for this woman to come in and take care of him if he is walking in his true masculinity. When a man is walking around, right, and he needs a mom, then why in the world are you dating him if you're a woman? That makes absolutely no sense. Unless you yourself, like I said, are attracted to that. And see, for the men, this is the type of woman that they're looking for. A woman who's put together, a woman who understands really how value works, a woman who is willing to give, a woman who uplifts her man, a woman who is not angry or frustrated. Because see, a lot of this anger and frustration that a lot of women feel, it comes from them dating bad men. But one of the problems is, like on this channel and on several other channels, there are men telling women what type of man they should be dating. Yet women are not listening, and then they continue to chase the same men that they've been. And like I'm always telling you, Proverbs, read Proverbs, read Proverbs, read Proverbs. And as a woman, translate everything in Proverbs from a man's perspective to a woman's perspective. All right? Translate it for yourself. If you can't do it on the fly when you read it, write it down. Because Proverbs basically says that if you are out here and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's not working, you are like a dog that has an upset stomach and throws up, walks around the yard for a little bit, and then comes back and eats it again. And that's exactly what so many women do. They get a bad man in their life. The man ain't no good. So then they, break up with him. And then other men will pop up. Many times they even know these are good men. They'll even say it. Oh, well, yeah, I know he was a good man, but he's boring. Or I know he's this, but, I'm a little concerned about the chemistry. So what they do is they go right back to another man in another body, but has the same energy of the first dude. So they're going back to their vomit. They're eating it again. And then they think it's going to work out for them. But see, the problem with this, and that's why I always talk about sexual chemistry. And if you go back and watch a lot of my videos, I'm talking about sexual chemistry because women believe that they have to have chemistry with the man. But what they don't remember, ladies, is that your chemistry, your first set of chemistry had to be built. It had to be built in you. And it took time. And it was more than likely your first boyfriend or your first couple of boyfriends or your father and or your mama's lovers that was coming over to the house as you were growing up. And if you know that wasn't working, then you have to pull back and you have to say, okay, I recognize that didn't work. So let me get on a path and at least try these men, and don't let these new men take advantage of you. Because one of the problems is, too, then women will get with what they think is a nerdy dude or a loser dude or whatever it is, because everybody has a different opinion about every energy that's out here. And then you might mess yourself up because you'll be like, well, you older men will do this to you and younger men will do this to you and nerdy men will do this to you. Look, a man's a man. All right? And if he is going to try to get you with sex or whatever it is, he's going to do it. Right? I'm not going to even play that game, which is one of the other problems that people have. What women have to do is they have to line themselves up, try enough, and then be solid on what they want, and then look for the men that are going to give it to them, and then give those things time so that sexual chemistry can change. Because see, a lot of women think it'll never change, but it will. And the only time that your sexual chemistry will not change, ladies, is when you try to hold on to it. And many of us, and I'll put myself in there, and a lot of men too, they try to hold on. Some of you know that I used to go to Hampton. I went to Hampton for one semester, Hampton University in Virginia. I went there one semester and I loved Hampton. I made all these friends. I was having a really great time, being up there at Hampton. But then some issues happened with my financial aid. And I had to go to Tuskegee University in, Alabama. And for the first year, I held on to going to Hampton. I said, I'm going to transfer back to Hampton. I'm going to go to Hampton. I don't like Tuskegee. This is not my chemistry. We don't have anything in common. There's nothing about Tuskegee that I like. I said all those things, and I was holding on to Hampton. Right? Well, Hampton had moved on. Hampton had new students. They weren't worried about me. They had moved on. So my sophomore year, still at Tuskegee, I was like, I can make the decision, and I knew this at 19. I can make the decision to love this school, or I can make the decision to continue to love Hampton. But at this point, it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me to love Hampton anymore. That is now in my past. So I made the decision to love Tuskegee. And now I love Tuskegee 10 times more than I could have ever loved Hampton. And it is like that with every single thing. If you want to love a car brand more than you love another car brand, you can make up in your mind to do it. And when you're with a man, ladies, and when you're out there and you're dating these men, you can make the decision to say, you know what, this new guy, he treats me great. In fact, he's really not bad looking. Once he grew his beard out, once we figured out a little style on him, he's looking good. And what's so funny about this is, remember, you got all these videos on TikTok where black women are glowing up white men. They call it what, the black woman effect or something like that. So black women even know how to do this. But it's funny that they like to do it for white men, but they won't do it for black men. Okay, that's a whole nother story. But there are some black women that will do it for black men. But here's the whole point. You can get to the point where the man in front of you, the man you said you had no chemistry with, you're like, he like my best friend. I don't know if I could ever deal without him. But see, in order to get that way, you have to release. You have to release that desire to be with these bad men. You have to release it. And you have to be okay with releasing it. And then once you release it, and this is really key, you cannot compare the men. You don't disrespect the man that is there for you, that is bending over backwards for you, that is being everything you prayed to God for, while you are and disrespect him by talking about and even believing that the old man was worth anything. That is the equivalent of when you're in the world, okay, and you're doing something, and then God takes you out of it and he blesses you. Okay, and then you're like, well, God, you blessed me with all this money. You blessed me with all this stuff, and thank you. But the devil had my back. When I was making $50,000 a year, even though God, you done gave me 150, but when I was with the devil, I could do blah, blah, blah. You don't do that. You respect the man that is in front of you. You release your love for what was behind you. All right. And men can do this too, because sometimes, we as men, let's be real, we can hold on and we need to release, because there's really great people out here and we have to be willing to get there and work it through. And like I told you all before, I am not a dating coach, nor do I want to be. I'm always about marriage and trying to get people to be married. And you have to release the past in order to go to the future. All right. And you have to be willing to put in and help out and create a scenario for yourself with your person in order to move toward marriage. Because there are great people out here if we're willing to actually put in the work. Anyway, I thought this was pretty good. Go down and check out that description. There's a lot of really great stuff down in there, especially if you're new. So please like, please subscribe, and I'm going to see you all in the very next video.